What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. It's been an interesting week. We've got international break at the moment. I've got that Saturday feeling. There's no football on. I bet there's loads of you sat there at home today thinking, what am I going to do? There's no football on. Obviously, England played last night, but when it's a game against Malta, I can't really get motivated for it. Good to see Cole Palmer make his debut. We're seeing some stuff with England that's okay, but I was so downhearted by Southgate's England squad and some of the weird decisions that he made. I made a video actually on my second channel, so check that out. But I'm missing Chelsea, obviously, because again, it feels like the international break has just come at the worst time. We finally started scoring some goals, which has been ages and ages and ages, it seems like, since Chelsea have actually been a team capable of scoring goals. And then we come up against Tottenham and City, and I remember saying before that, we don't have a chance pretty much against these two teams. Like, they're playing very well, and we've gone and got 8 goals. The results against these two teams are great. Like, I would have loved a win against City, but if you'd have told me we'd get 8 goals in those 2 games, I would have absolutely snapped your hand off. Things are looking up for Chelsea. It's been interesting. We've had some really poor games. Like that Brentford one kind of sticks in my memory from a few weeks back. But then Man City and Tottenham, completely different team. It's like we had to come up against tougher opposition for the players to realise what they've been working on with Poch and how that works against a better team. I think teams actually coming to play against Chelsea makes it easier for this team. I think if we're playing against teams that are sitting back and making life hard, I think we're still going to struggle with that. That's obviously harder for any team. When we're allowed to kind of play this exciting, open football, we look really good. We counter-attack really well. Do you know what? There's so many players in this team now that I think people are actually starting to like, which we just haven't had for ages. We've had no affinity to so many different players in this Chelsea team. And that's just great, like, to see that happening at the Bridge again, because it feels like it's been a while. But when players start stepping up in big moments, like Cole Palmer did the other night when he took that penalty, and it shows his character. If he wasn't already one of the most likeable players in this squad, he's now at the top. Thiago Silva, just back to back seasons of being world class, when his career should be dwindling off. It's like he just keeps getting better. He's aging like a fine wine. And then you look around the team and you start thinking, it wasn't that long ago, there was a lot of toxic stuff happening at Stamford Bridge. And yeah, look, it's still not great, but all of a sudden, there's players showing their personality, which we don't really see much anymore in football, but they're showing it on the pitch. Someone like Cucurella, if I ever see him, I'm going to apologise. I'm going to say, I got it wrong with you. You just are a completely different player. What an attitude. That's elite mentality. When everyone was against him, managers, fans, owners, everyone was ready to sort of say, you know what, that experiment didn't work. And he's come back fighting. And now, I can't imagine a game where he isn't our first choice left back. He's been so good. His footballing IQ is on another level. I'm loving watching Cucurella this season. He makes this wonderful sort of inverted run fairly often. And you should definitely look out for that. The next time you watch a Chelsea game and Cucurella's playing, look out for this inverted run that he makes through the middle of the pitch, and no one expects him to do it. No one picks him up, and he finds himself being right up high on the attacking line, right on the last line of the defence. And he's there breaking through. And his knowledge and his vision and his awareness, when he sees play coming towards him and he's ready to intercept that pass, he's great to watch. Yeah, there are still things that are shaky, but the improvement is massive. But the thing that is so massive for me is his footballing IQ. That is great. Like, we haven't seen that in a Chelsea shirt enough, and this season it's been fantastic. Reece James is back. What a joy that is. I hope he can stay fit. I feel like we're managing him really well. Like, I feel like how things have been in the past with Reece and his injuries, it's been tough, and we just kept losing him. And then all of a sudden, it finally took a manager to realise, hang on, this guy is really good. We can't lose him all the time to injury. So Why don't we manage his return instead of chucking him in for 90 minutes like Potter and Thingy did? And then it also helps that other players have gone into that position and they've coped. Like Gusto, what a difference it makes just having a guy who is capable. It looks like he's got a bit of an injury at the moment again, which is a bit of a shame. But if Reece can stay fit, then we won't feel that one too much. But there's a lot of positives at the moment at Chelsea. The football we're playing is really, really good. It's fast. It's forward thinking. It's progressive. It's what you want to see. It's what everyone sort of said Potter should bring to the table, but it's been taking a while. And I keep thinking, how many players have we seen come to Chelsea and then it takes like a little bit to get going? They get like the first season or a first few months. And then obviously some players, it just never improves. But I'm starting to get better at giving people time, I think. I was really bad at first. I couldn't understand how Cucurella could already play in the Premier League and then come to Chelsea and it not work. But I'm starting to understand that the pressure and the fee and the hype around those transfers, when you're being talked about Manchester City and Chelsea, you've got to come in and perform. So that's good. That's the footballing side of things. I worry about us with the low blocks still. I'm not sure. Even a team that isn't sitting in a low block, but they're being tight, close together, narrow, hard to break through, hard to break down, not enough space for the 10s. That's when I worry about Chelsea. Then I think we have to look to our wide players, which kind of brings me round to the curious case of Raheem Sterling. When we signed Raz, I was over the moon. I thought, and I've said it time and time again, that this is the type of player we need to be signing at Chelsea. He's elite. He's up there. This is a guy coming from title winners, Champions League finalists. He's a serious player, and he's going to come to Chelsea, and he's just going to keep adding to his trophy cabinet, because Chelsea win trophies with serial trophy winners, right? That's what I thought. It was a match made in heaven. He's from West London. It was almost perfect to me. And then, really, it's been a bumpy road with Raz at Chelsea, and there's been times when people have questioned his attitude. There's been times when people haven't really known what the deal is with Raheem Sterling. Is he that interested? Can he be bothered? And then the other day against Manchester City, look, I'm not saying that's his first good performance for Chelsea, but it's definitely his best. I've never seen the guy nutmeg so many players. He had half that team on toast all game long. I think he's probably livid he's not in the England squad, as am I, because I just don't understand Southgate's method. I've made another video about the England squad that Southgate's picked at the moment on my second channel. So if you haven't seen that, check it out. It'll be linked in my description below or on my channels page on the YouTube channel. But Raheem turned it on against Man City. And I worry that it was because it was against City and he felt like he had something to prove. But if he plays like that every week, we're talking about a guy who does get 20 goals in a Premier League season. A guy that is gaining and earning plaudits for how well he's playing, regaining his place in the England squad, because something must have gone on there. Something must have happened. But when you actually look at it, this guy is within the top 3-4 wingers in the Premier League on his day. And I have to tell you that it's on his day, because unfortunately at Chelsea there's been far too many times when it's not been his day. But seeing what he did against Manchester City, Kyle Walker was panicking. And that's a very good right back. We've still got a striker problem. And I still believe we have a goalkeeper problem. And the only other thing I'd say is, what happens at centre-back when Thiago Silva leaves? I think we're going to feel that. I really do. But I don't think it's the most pressing issue, because we have got some good players in that defence. Like, Dezassi's been an absolute tank of a player, a real diesel engine at the back. I'm nicknamed him Diesel. I think this guy has everything to be a top centre-back for a long, long time, because he's not rapid, but he reads the game really well, and it doesn't sort of hold him back. He's good on the ball. He's so dangerous in the attacking box. He's great in the defensive area as well to make clearances, win headers, contest aerial duels. He's really, really good. He's sort of not getting that many plaudits at the moment, but he's getting French national team call-ups, and he's just a solid player. Like, he's not going to break easy. He can take a hit and keep fighting. He's a warrior. And I love having that back in the Chelsea team. And then on the left, we're blessed with Colwell, Badiashile, even Wesley Fofana's due to come back, who I've got a lot of hope for. I fully believe that one day he won't struggle with those injuries and he'll be back. And everyone remembers how good that kid was before that horrific injury at Leicester, the first one. I can't wait for him to come back. And then I think that's 4 top-class centre-backs. Don't talk to me about loaning out Badiashile. He's a bit of a fan favourite at the moment. They love the song. He returns from injury after all that time and scores a goal. Don't talk to me about loaning him out to AC Milan. What rubbish. Look, the only defender leaving Chelsea in this window should be Trev. And I don't necessarily want that to happen, but I don't see where he fits in if we're not playing 3 at the back. And he might as well go and move to a team that's playing 3 at the back and get in, because I don't see him being in a 2 and excelling in his career. If he does, fair play. He's learned a lot if he does that. In a 3 at the back where he plays on the right-hand side, I think he's great. He can step into midfield, where he had a really good loan spell out in France when he played in midfield at Lorient, I think. He's good on the ball. He's a goal threat, Trev, as well. Don't forget how many goals he got for Chelsea in that short space of time. And it's almost unfair to just see him being... I know he's injured at the moment, but I feel like he just wouldn't even be getting a sniff. And I know he could kind of cover right back, but I think that's the only player I'd say should really be leaving Chelsea defensively in January. And I don't think too many more. Maybe if you're looking at a loan like Noni, I think is going to really struggle for game time at the moment. And I think he's going to struggle under Poch. That's not the type of winger that Poch seems to like have a lot of success with. A player like Noni. And Noni's class, by the way. Don't get me wrong. Bad injury record, but a very good player. And under 21s, he absolutely rips it. He always does. I worry that he's a little bit predictable in the bigger games. But that might change with time and belief in himself. And when his confidence up, does his game improve? Which seems to happen for so many players. How many players at Chelsea have we seen when we were losing game after game be hopeless? Like a lot of people slated Conor Gallagher last year. A lot of people. I loved what he bought. I love that he had energy. He wore the shirt with pride. He played for the badge. Yes, he made some horrific mistakes and his discipline wasn't the best. And he was getting up a lot of silly yellows. He got a red card, I remember, for 2 yellows. And he kind of lost his head a lot when things weren't going well. And I actually think that's still there with Con, because he gets so frustrated that things aren't going well for Chelsea. But then look at what happens when we're playing well and he gets some solid players around him and you start to see a spine. I can't see anyone knocking him out of the midfield at the moment. He's our best midfielder in terms of the midfield 3. If you look at Enzo, Connor and Caicedo, he's our best midfielder. And then you look at Enzo and Caicedo, they've been okay. Moises is kind of going about his job. He's improving with every game. Yes, look, there's still some things there that aren't Kante, aren't Makelele, but he's his own man. He's his own player. Things are going to be a bit different. Enzo's worn out, I think, and I don't want to chuck things around, but it must be so hard having a new baby and then not just that, probably not really sleeping. And then he has to fly to like Argentina, South America for his international breaks. When does this kid stop? And since he won the World Cup as well, he's kind of like non-stop. Actually, since he got to Europe. So I kind of feel for him a bit. And I reckon he's genuinely tired. But until Lavia is back, I don't really see him getting a rest. Agachukwu been pretty solid every time he plays as well. But I think the quality drop-off might be quite big there. Not certain on that. I haven't seen enough of Agachukwu to know if you put him in the team for a few weeks, would he be all right? He's actually pretty mobile, but I actually think he would change up how Poch wants to play with the team. But we kind of covered a lot of bases there. Like Mudryk, he come on against City, nice run, looks exciting again. There's still a lot for him to improve on for me, and I feel like he was getting there a bit, and then he kind of fell out the side. And then the emergence of Cole Palmer has shocked everyone, I'd say. Because when we signed him, a lot of people saying, oh, he's great, he can do this, he can do that. No one thought he'd do it straight away, though. No one thought that this kid was going to come in and pretty much instantly go to the first name on the team sheet and in a creative sense be our best creative player. People thought that could happen in a few years or coming off the bench or something like that, like he did at City. No way. He is made of stronger stuff than that. He was never going to sit on the bench. You saw it. He come in straight away, took the penalty off Raheem Sterling. A fully fledged England international, and Palmer was like, not a chance. I'm having this penalty. And then he does it again against City. And he puts it high up above Ederson. He didn't have a chance. What a penalty. Like 90th minute plus stoppage time puts a penalty away. I can't even remember now. It's like 95th or 93rd, something like that. Unbelievable penalty. I'm happy with where things are at with Chelsea. Like I said, Poch has got us playing some good football. It actually does take time. Can't always be instant. We've been very lucky as Chelsea fans throughout a lot of the years that we've just sort of been able to get things going. We've been able to straight away swap out a manager and pretty much get instant success. But that was with a core of players that were so set in their ways and knew exactly what to do. I've been listening to that John Obi Mikel podcast, and you listen to Lamps and JT and the way they speak about that team. That team managed themselves at times. They kind of just knew, once they'd had Mourinho, they're just winners. They knew what worked and they just repeated it. And look, a couple of managers come in and made some slight tweaks, but that team won for over a decade. Like it really did. And it's only sort of in the last few years, definitely since the Bowley era started, that I feel like the last bit of that has dripped out of the team. That Mourinho era that started with our best ever, most successful team, it only sort of just ended. You could probably say after we won that second Champions League. I feel like the last drips of that era were there. As P kind of springs to mind. He was in from 2013, and that era was still going strong in 2013. They won the Europa League then, and then a couple of them players stayed around to go on and win more Premier Leagues. So yeah, it's only now that I feel like I no longer see a connection for this team to that generation. Right, that went on for so long. So now I actually believe that the Chelsea DNA has slightly changed, and it is actually going to take time. But when you see us go and compete with a couple of teams at the top of the Prem, when we've been so far off it, even Arsenal actually, I'm not going to let that one slide either. The Villa game, they've been doing really well this season. I kind of write that one off because from the red card, it just was kind of done, that game. But the other 3 games, we've got up for it. But I don't want to be one of those teams that gets up for those games, that when it comes to the games that we should be winning, we struggle to. And I feel like that would be a bit Spursy, wouldn't it? That would be a bit Spursy, and that would be what kind of worries me. But we're heading in the right direction at the moment, and I feel pretty confident. International break, like I said, it's just come at the wrong time. Did that the last international break, I think. We got a good couple of wins, building up a bit of momentum, and then international break come, and look what happened. We need to talk about people suggesting Chelsea are going to get relegated if we get this points deduction. At this moment in time, all that's happened with Chelsea regarding this matter is Todd Bowley has gone to Premier League or the FA when he was buying the club and said, look, we found some dodgy-ish payments that don't look very good from the old ownership. we want to make you aware, just to try and sweeten and soften the blow, I think, and just to kind of be honest and upfront and say, look, we're starting a new relationship. We're not going to be like that. We're going to be everything on the table, clean, really well-run football club. I think that's the idea. When you look at Abramovich, there's like apparent payments to agents that weren't really declared and they were secretive and stuff like that. It doesn't look good. We all kind of knew that sort of stuff was going on. Look at what happened with Ashley Cole. He got tapped up. That was going on in that Chelsea era. You don't get that kind of success and attract those kind of players when they can easily go to the top clubs unless there's money being put on the table. And then when FFP came in, we kind of brought that on ourselves, I'd say, if anything, as well. So did City. It's funny how those two teams are going to be the ones with the biggest punishments. But we haven't actually been charged with anything yet. That's really important to remember. So Boney going about things in that manner might have helped us. Who knows? Look, even... It's just so hypothetical to know what happens there. I really don't know. Look, if we get relegated, we get relegated. The one thing I'll tell you about Chelsea Football Club is it bounces back. The reason I say if we were to get relegated, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if Everton had one breach and they got done for 10 points, we won't just have one breach. And we've been done for things like this in the past. Remember the Gael Kakuta scenario where we paid to like that club when he wasn't old enough to be transferred or something like that. And we couldn't sign younger players, and then we got a transfer ban not all that long ago. Chelsea have been done for things like this in the past, so it just wouldn't surprise me. But we do bounce back. This club won't die. We just won't let it as fans. And you might actually be able to get some proper fans back in the bridge if that happened. But look, no one wants that to happen at all. We're heading in the right direction, and I actually think the Premier League needs to be really careful, because by giving Everton 10 points and a sporting disadvantage, they've got to be careful, because these teams will fully believe that they could be bigger than the Premier League. And I know there's like an independent person coming in with the government and the FA and stuff like that. It gets all very sticky, but it's funny how they kind of waited for that to happen, the Premier League, and then they go for Everton. I think 10 points is too much, I'll be honest. I know someone said it's like a point a million would be fair, but that would mean they would have lost 20 points, so the FA have kind of gone off 50% of that. There's no clear rules or legislation with the FA regarding a lot of these matters. They kind of just, oh, he can have 8 months for that, and then he'll get 3 for that. And they do the same thing, but they just kind of, it's like how they feel on the day, I feel like, with the FA. It's a little bit shambolic. So I feel like 10 points is harsh on Everton. I also feel the timing's sickening. The club's just lost its owner of many years. It was like they kind of just sort of waiting for that to happen, and then they just drop that bomb. Like they don't give that club a chance. It's horrible. The top of the game in England is bad. And also, Everton even said, we're running close to the line. Can we sort of have some guidance? Can we sign players? That's the story. And apparently the FA helped, and then they kind of snaked him and gone, 10 points, you know. For Everton, by the way, probably the most ideal scenario to have 10 points taken off of you. Because you've got teams, Bournemouth, Luton, Burnley and Sheffield United are all worse than you, and you'll be on similar points. This is the season to do it for Everton. No doubt in my mind. Very, very lucky in that sense that I still believe, even with the 10 points, they'll be okay. I think they should appeal it. My worry is that sometimes these teams appeal this stuff, and then the punishment's worse. So be careful, Everton. But I do think it sets precedents that the FA have to be careful with. Because if they don't now act against Manchester City, who have 115 charges, if Manchester City get docked 10 points as well, how does it work? It just doesn't. Manchester City are a good enough team that they could get docked 10 points and maybe still win the league. Sticky situation, muddied waters. They've not put themselves in a good position for going forward. I think they're going to struggle with consistency. And maybe relegation happens, but you know what? Like, the Premier League will be sitting there going, oh, with the Premier League, we're bigger than these clubs, blah, 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 blah. They're not. At the end of the day, they're not bigger than the clubs. The clubs would exist without the Premier League because they did before. The Prem's only been around since 92. And the FA aren't silly. The FA will go, do you know what? Or the Football League even. One of the two will decide to make a new division and introduce these teams into it. I honestly think that would happen. So the Premier League have to be careful. They have to protect their business model, because if you have a Premier League without Chelsea and Manchester City, you are talking about two of the heavyweights of that division, two of the biggest spenders, two of the biggest attractions to players overseas, mainly because of financials. And now they can back it up with trophies in recent years. They're two big teams to lose. And it kind of baffles me a little bit. And you know, the other thing is that there'll be other clubs that are similar to Everton, and there'll be other clubs that are going to be similar to Manchester City and Chelsea as well, who have kind of probably broke it a few times. And I don't know about Chelsea. They might not have, but the fact Todd Boney's gone to the people who run these organisations and said about it makes me think that, yes, actually, there's some things here that aren't good, and the due diligence would have been done, and that stuff would have kind of been brought up when he was buying the team, and probably told to make the relevant parties aware of the situation, right? And then get in their good books. Weird one. Don't know how that looks. Relegation, for me, is risky for the Premier League. We've seen it happen in Italy, and there's no doubt about it. When the Italian scandal happened, when like Juventus got relegated and things like that, that league died. Serie A died for a long time. And I would say only as of the last couple of seasons has that league regained any sort of reputation, I would say. And that people might suggest that sounds far-fetched. The only reason Inter Milan did well was because of Mourinho. Other than that, Juventus never did anything in the Champions League. AC Milan disappeared off the face of the earth after that. They weren't even in it. Serie A was a weird place. Like, I think Conte went and won the league unbeaten over there with Juve eventually, but it just, the rep kind of disappeared because it put the league into like a really weird view. And you've got to think, we're talking about the Italian football was at the heights of the Premier League at one period of time. It was the destination to go. So the Premier League have to be careful with that. They do have to be careful. I'm not saying don't punish, but actually you should probably look at the first punishment you made and gone, if we're going to run consistent with that, we might have gone too strong here on Everton, and then to build it up to 110 is massive. There's a big difference. 10 points. I mean, we could be talking, if one thing is a fine of 10 points, if that's how it works, for example, 110. They might as well relegate them 3 or 4 divisions with that amount of points they'd have to take off. So I don't know how it works. Anyway, like I said, it's a mess. I don't think it's the smoothest run operation in the world, and I think they're completely disillusioned from some things in football. And the thing that's so bad is it punishes the fans, but that will make the clubs do something because there's serious jeopardy. The fans, some might disappear because clubs like Chelsea and City, they have a huge amount of tourists coming to the games. Tourists aren't coming to the games if these clubs aren't in the Premier League. That hurts both. That hurts the clubs and it hurts the Premier League. It's not good. It's not good. Either side isn't good because FFP isn't respected by the top clubs, by middle-sized clubs. It's not respected by the chairman, right? Or the investors. They don't respect it. They're like, it's our money. Why can't we spend it like we want to? They're businessmen. They're ruthless. They break rules. That's how they get that rich in the first place. And then it's not respected by the lower teams because they feel like they're never ever going to be able to get up and bridge the gap. It kind of keeps the big teams, it kind of keeps everyone where they're at. And it's only teams like Brighton that have to be that perfectly ran club who generate massive fees to then be able to spend a bit of money. But even then they can't spend that much. Like you go and look at Brighton's record transfer, it's not that much at all, really. I think it was this season. I'm trying to think who it was. It's not much at all compared to the money they generate in transfer fees anyway. And then the last thing I kind of thought I'd touch on was England. And I'm at a bit of a loss with it. They obviously played Malta yesterday. I'll be honest. I didn't even watch it. Had no real interest in seeing what happened. I saw Cole Palmer make his debut. I said that, but Southgate's killing it for me. And there was a time when I thought Southgate was going to be the manager who finally took England to some glory because one, he had an amazing squad of players, and two, I always thought he was picking the squad well until very recently there were some questionable decisions. And then this squad and the consistency of the last 3, 4, 5 squads, it's been questionable. And I know there's been players not available and it's not been as clear cut as it's been for previous sort of qualifiers and tournaments, but this one is weird. I'm not sure. I don't know how he's picking the team, and when I can't understand the reasons for players getting in the squad, I then sort of struggle. And you know what it is with Southgate? He's not clear enough. He doesn't kind of come out with his reasons because I don't think he even knows them in his head, unfortunately. I think he has players that he obviously likes and doesn't want to see him not picked for England. So I'm finding it difficult to get myself up for the Euros. And then the Euro tickets, I don't know anyone that won one on the lottery either. If you got Euro tickets through the lottery, put a comment down below and let me know, because I haven't seen anyone. I go on Twitter. Everyone's been unsuccessful. Whether they've applied for like one game or every game, no one's had a chance. So I'd be intrigued to know who got those tickets, because I don't think many England fans have got those tickets, from what I can gather, which is strange considering it's happening in Germany. But the World Cup in 2006 was in Germany. I have no idea what the ticket situation was like then. I had an interesting debate the other day that I keep meaning to really have some thought about. It's whether or not any player from our golden generation of England would get into today's current team, like England's best 11 now. It's quite an interesting one, but it's also, I think it's recency bias, because you have to think how good Wayne Rooney was at a period of time till he got that injury. He was running that Euro 2000 and... No, wait, was it Germany 2006? Well, I mean Germany 2006. It could have been Euro 2004, but Rooney was running it. But also don't forget that the golden generation didn't even get into the 2008 Euros either. It didn't even get into it. So you have to kind of weigh that up. And I was trying to think. Golden generation goalkeeper. It's probably David James, isn't it? I think for the longest time, it was a bit of Joe Hart, bit of David James, bit of Seaman. Seaman was probably the best of the three. I probably would have Pickford over them three, to be honest with you. I think Pickford in an England shirt has been pretty solid, and he's had some big moments. Then if you're looking at right back, you're looking at G. Nev versus the likes of Carl Walker and that. And I think if Gary Neville was up against some of the best right backs, some of the best left wingers in the world, he wouldn't stand a chance. So you're probably having Carl Walker. Centre backs, there isn't a centre back in the team now that I'd have over any of the centre backs from that generation. JT, Rio, Ledley King. Do you know what? Even even Woodgate was about that. Jonathan Woodgate was about at that time. This geezer played for Real Madrid. Stones is up there. Maguire in an England shirt has been really good, but I don't think he's done anything the others wouldn't do. Sol Campbell as well. Centre back, there's loads to pick from for the golden generation. They win. Left backs, not even a question. Luke Shaw's been good in an England shirt, but he ain't a touch on AC. Ashley Cole, best to ever do it in my opinion at left back, realistically, especially in this country. Obviously, Robbie C's up there with a shout as well, but he's a serious player, Ashley Cole. I almost feel like people kind of forget about him a little bit, but I only have to go and watch those videos of him back pocketing some of the world's best players, and then you realise again. Midfield, you're talking obviously Scholes, Gerrard, Lampard, a couple of other players in and around. I think you could probably put Jermaine Genius. Jermaine Genius won like Golden Boy or something. I don't know if he won the exact Golden Boy trophy, but there was a period in time Jermaine Genius had a lot of hype around him as a kid. Serious player. From what I can gather and from what I've seen, there's Bellingham similarities with him. Similar build, similar ability on the pitch and what he was doing, but Jermaine Genius really struggled with injuries. He's obviously not on that level, but when you look at the midfield of Lampard, Gerrard, Scholes, is there anyone currently that kind of gets into that? No, but I do think that Maddison, Rice, Bellingham is an interesting prospect. I'm trying to think Henderson, Phillips. They probably don't. But in an England shirt, you could argue that Rice and Phillips has had more success than Lampard, Gerrard, Scholes, you name it, who's played at centre mid. There's loads more, but they're kind of the biggest three. In terms of players and what they achieved, you're taking the old generation, the golden generation all day. But in an England shirt, it's very debatable. Calvin Phillips wouldn't be in it for me. Lamps was never great in an England shirt. He was never amazing. Gerrard was better in an England shirt than Lampard. So Gerrard would probably be in it. And I think Declan Rice has been really good in an England shirt, so he might get in over Lamps. Even though I think Lampard... that's a tough one, because I think Declan Rice has been quality in an England shirt. I mean, even Eric Dyer has been good in Southgate's era in an England shirt as well. Just trying to think, when you're looking at right mid, left mid, whatever, you've got Bex to add to the equation. Bex is getting in ahead of a lot of the current generation in terms of wingers. Strikers, Rooney. Rooney was great. Rooney got to a level where no one had got to by, like, was it Sir Bobby? Like Bobby Charlton. And then Rooney broke that, and then obviously Harry Kane, I think, has broken that. It's tough, isn't it? That is tough. It gets very questionable. You start thinking, hang on, there was a period of time when Wayne Rooney, it felt like there was no point having Wayne on the pitch for England. But then sometimes I've watched games of football where Harry Kane's not been in it for England. I'm kind of hoping him going to Bayern Munich kind of changes him a little bit, and then it almost becomes you can't not have him on the pitch. And I know Southgate always looks at it that way because he's always good for a goal. But there's been England games in these competitions that we've had, and he's just non-existent. Like, he gets cancelled out, and then obviously a penalty comes and stuff like that, and you kind of back him to score. But Wayne Rooney had that rawness about him that I don't think a lot of players had and have in an England shirt. But it is a good one. So if you've got any sort of thoughts on that golden generation and whether or not... do you know what? If you've got time, chuck me some combined 11s in the comments, or like combined midfields or defence or something like that. Something you'd kind of mix up. Interesting talking points from that area, because I'm struggling with it. I can't really see the exact pattern or the exact players that I could remove for the other players. Bar, like I said, the defence I think is probably pretty solid. I think that's easily solved, that equation, the defence. It's just the midfield and the attackers is when you weigh it up. But obviously, the golden generation haven't even achieved anywhere near what the current generation's done. So is the current generation the golden generation? I think it's just a better team, actually, with a clearer game plan and a better respect for each other in the camp. And that's what annoys me is I've taken a liking to this group of England players, and I actually want to see them all this hard work and a few years now of doing okay. Look, the last World Cup was poor, but for the squad that was there, right, that should have been. Do you know what? If England-France was the final, I don't think anyone would have been shocked. And it was the fact they met that early that happened, and obviously Messi had other ideas about that World Cup as well, but I think England got unlucky with that. We were up against probably the best team in the competition in France, I think. I don't think Argentina were. I think Messi did a lot of carrying. I think he ultimately was exceptional in that World Cup. But I think France were probably the best team, and England found that out. And that's probably why we didn't do that well. And it was just where that came in the competition was what was so annoying. But actually, we probably could have beaten France, right? That penalty could have changed a lot of things, Harry Kane. But anyway, I want to see this England team succeed. I really do. I like them. I think there's something likeable about this team. I like players from other teams in this England team. Before, I'd be like, nah, he's United, he's Liverpool. I don't like them. And you knew the players didn't really like each other, right? Whereas now they all get on and they're kind of mates from across different teams and stuff like that. And I feel like we've had a bit hurt with this team as well, where we've been so close. Like touching silverware nearly. So I really think, could we have a chance with this team? And wouldn't it be great to see it happen? And then Southgate kind of throws it all back in our face and picks the squad like he has. So it frustrates me a bit. And that's why I really wasn't that bothered about the England game. I know it's been a bit of a longer video, but I just thought I'd sit down and have a chat. I thought about having a stream, but I just decided to record a really long video. If you like it, let me know. More of a slower chat and a sit down about where football's kind of at during the international break, because it all kind of comes to a pause and then you can kind of assess everything. And I feel that that's what we're doing. Hopefully keeps going in the right direction. I want to say thank you, by the way, to the people that kind of stuck around to the end. If you have, drop a like. That would be good to know who's staying around. Comment your favourite ever England player in the comments below, actually. That'd be interesting if anyone sticks around. And like and subscribe if you're new. Thank you for sticking around as well. Obviously, channel kind of went off the face of the earth for a month. So if you're still here, I appreciate you an awful lot. Enjoy the international break, whether you go and watch non-league teams or you watch an international team. Let me know how that's going for you, because I struggle in the international breaks, especially when England aren't really doing it for me at the time. So let me know. It's good to catch up. I've got a few more things I want to talk about, a few more discussions, so I'll upload them during the week. I'll see you in the next one.